After beating the original Final Fantasy VII game for the first time, I followed that up by watching the film Advent Children, which takes place 2 years after the events of the original game. What unfolded was a story that I didn't see coming, and honestly, it left me with, in a lot of ways, more questions than answers. But that's not always a bad thing, because in this case, this has kept me coming back for more. Final Fantasy is a massive gaming franchise with tons of entries, but Final Fantasy VII alone is far larger than I ever expected. The original game in 1997 ends with the heroes succeeding, though a lot of things are left up in the air and to the player's interpretation. Put that together with a post-credits scene that creates a massive question and a yearning for more. That's where the film Final Fantasy VII Advent Children comes into play. We pick up 2 years after the events of the original game and we find out what our main characters have been up to, specifically Cloud, who's been kind of on his own individual mission as things really haven't fully settled down since the climax of the game. Without getting too far into spoilers, the main plot of this film surrounds a disease, or what appears to be a disease that's inflicting the citizens of Midgar. We see a memorial structure that represents the final moments of the original game, and it appears to have been put in place in what is the new center of town. Many of the citizens are clearly homeless and are also suffering from the disease that is spreading. Not only do we get an update on our main heroes from the game, but we also get an update on the remnants from Shinra. Now with a common threat, we follow some of our Shinra characters, much like we followed our main heroes during the game. What occurred in the game had lasting effects, and if our characters want to survive and succeed, they're going to have to all work together this time. Now with a new, yet very familiar threat, Cloud must choose between the life of solitude he committed to, or taking up the sword once more to save the planet he so loves. I was able to watch Advent Children complete, which is the director's cut containing 26 minutes of explosive additional footage and over 1,000 revised scenes. This was by far the dominant version of this movie. Overall, I really enjoyed this film. I felt like it connected to the game in such an amazing way. The ties back to just even the look of the movie versus the look of the game were great. It was an amazing way to see our characters in an upgraded form well before the remake of Final Fantasy VII ever came out. The storytelling style of this film definitely leaves a lot up to the audience's interpretation, and to be completely honest, a lot of moments kind of went over my head and maybe were a little lost on me, so I kind of was left a little bit in the dark on some of the things they were referencing. Perhaps it was things referencing other parts of the franchise that I have yet to experience. Some of the performances are a little cringy at times, but overall I think everyone did a really good job. I was actually really pleasantly surprised to hear some familiar voices that I recognized from the Metal Gear franchise. The animation style of this film is incredible. It really is the center point of this whole thing in my opinion. I think they did an incredible job with the CG animation that is happening throughout this film. I don't believe there were any live action elements to this. This appears to be a completely CGI film. If you enjoy cinematic style cutscenes in video games, you will absolutely love this movie. As a newcomer to the Final Fantasy franchise and having recently played through Final Fantasy VII, the original game from 1997 for the very first time, I have to say, I highly recommend watching Final Fantasy VII Advent Children complete to continue your journey. I can't wait to see where the world of Final Fantasy VII takes me next. And until next time, everybody, remember, keep retro gaming alive, because one day, your games will be retro too.